It's Champagne Wishes with Abby and Martha as they'll dive into their lives, relationships, current events, and host guests from time to time to talk with and to learn from, and to build a stronger connection with their community. They'll be stripping away the pretty filters and will be bringing you everyday realness along the way. And here they are, Abby and Martha.
Well,
okay. Sorry, Mark. You're going to have to make that up. I'm sure you know how. Rafts. Lots of rafts. Look at this lily pad.
It's so great.
It's so great.
Oh my
okay,
God.
well,
okay.
So I would say leading into today, we've got some downloading to do.
Yeah, we do.
It feels like it's been 10 years.
It has.
But it's been like, what, 3 weeks? Shit, a lot happens in 3 weeks.
It does in our world.
Mm-hmm. So oh my God, I can't even go. Okay, so Mother's Day came and went.
Mm-hmm. No morel mushrooms.
No morel mushrooms for that weekend. I was sick. We weren't feeling the best. We kind of had to reschedule and dip out. But, you know, it happens. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then let's see. The only things I can think about truly are what's happened in the last 7 days. I can't go back 3 weeks. Can you? No.
I don't even remember past 7 days. It's going to be hard to go back 7. So,
yep. Okay.
We should start with you, though, because you've had a lot of turning of events.
Would you like to talk about bunnies or broken bones?
Which one happened first? The
bunnies.
Okay, let's hear about your bunnies.
Okay, so we have a raised box garden from last year, the coronavirus garden, the victory garden, that was beautiful and amazing. And then we got Bing Bong Ding Dong Lola, our puppy, our coronavirus puppy. Mm-hmm. And we realized there's no way we can have a beautiful garden because this asshole is going to rip it up.
Yep.
So the victory garden, regardless, is sprouting beautiful lettuce. I don't know why. I don't know where it's come from, but we've got incredible lettuce growing in the garden that I did not plant. And we looked outside and Lola's digging at the lettuce. I'm like, well, there it is. Go figure. Lola's digging at the lettuce.
This is the same dog that jumps on their trampoline. Jumps up on the trampoline.
Oh, yeah.
So
the trampoline's Lola's trampoline. The kids
is.
don't even jump on it anymore. It's
okay.
Lola's.
So Lola's in the garden.
Lola's in the garden. Joe and I are getting ready for work. And Joe's like, oh, she's digging out the lettuce. We take a look. We're like, yeah, she's digging out the lettuce. And then Joe goes, oh, look, I think she has a mouse. And I'm looking and I'm like, okay, it's a mouse. And I'm kind of like, whatever. And then we looked back out there and Joe's like, wait, there's multiple mice. I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, I better go look. So he goes out there and he looks. And I feel like this could be a Larry David sketch, honestly. He's like looking down at the garden. He's looking up at me doing the Larry David, I don't know. And he's like, they're buddies. So I threw him a box in my robe, towel in my hair. I threw him a box. I'm like, put the bunnies in the box. What the hell are we supposed to do with these bunnies?
And the bunnies are still in the box.
The bunnies are still in the box. We've lost 2 out of 5. But they identify with me as their mother.
They do. I mean, she just off graduated one and brought in
God's grace. I'm telling you, God was like, this girl, her oldest is graduating this weekend. She needs someone to feed.
And let me tell you, it's a show. She's got this little bottle. They went to the store, got the whole nipple and the
we have a heating
tube
pad.
thing. And oh my gosh, you didn't even tell me that.
Yeah. We got to keep them warm through the night, girl.
You mean you don't snuggle those bunnies?
When I feed them, I snuggle them.
Oh my God.
But they respond.
I can't even right now. She's like got it all perched up and like feeding it. I'm like, wow.
We've Googled this stuff. We've become.
Well, you're a pro.
We're a pro. We're a pro. They have less than a 10% chance of surviving. And I've gotten 3 to
Chunky,
live.
Spunky, and what?
Chunk, Flower, and
Flower. I wonder
Jumpy.
who named that one.
Jumpy. Mm-hmm. Lucky died.
Damn luck. The damn Lucky.
Yeah, it was a bad name.
Gosh,
we cursed Lucky from the beginning.
Oh, man.
Oh, Martha.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. So, 3 bunnies.
Yeah.
They're alive. I did have a child graduate from high school.
Yes.
Wow.
Yay.
Really?
Congratulations.
That was a thing.
I can only
That was a
imagine.
thing. Yeah. I think I'm still processing it, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It looked like you had a beautiful weekend, though.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Yep.
Really nice. And
so what else has happened? We finished our first 6 weeks of booty boot camp.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. Feeling really good about that, too.
I know.
I feel stronger.
I do, too. It's been
For
really
sure.
nice. Carrie did a great job, and we're actually starting a second 6-week program.
We did. We said it was
This
so
week.
good. Let's just do
Keep
it again.
on. Yep.
Yeah.
So we're heading
Heading
to our
back.
next 6 weeks. So.
Yeah, she said she was going to kick it up a notch. And yesterday was our first round of the new 6 weeks. And she made me run sprints.
I'm sure you nailed them.
I ran them all, but I'm like, oh, is this what you mean? Like, we've got to run sprints now? I felt like I did in 6th grade in basketball when you're doing suicides. I've not done anything like that since then. And I'm like, holy shit, this hurts. This
That's
hurts.
bad.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I'm here for the pain.
Yep.
Bring the pain.
Bring it on.
Yep. So, booty boot camp. Oh, Esty crushed her toe.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have a lot of nice. I hear babies crying.
Yeah. Are they my babies? Oh, they're laughing. They're laughing. It's not crying. Okay, well, that's better. So, yeah, we're putting together the weight bench in the basement, and Esty, without shoes on, attempted to pick up a 45-pound
I want to
weight.
do what mommy does.
Yeah, and just dropped it on that little precious baby big toe.
Poor baby.
We've got a broken toe, too.
Yep.
Broken toes, bunnies,
A
graduations.
Lot of, oh my gosh.
There's a lot
My
going
life
on.
feels boring compared to yours.
Well, I
I
think
just said that. No, something really weird's going to happen.
I was about to
So.
say, thank God it's not happening to both of us at the same time.
True.
There's
This
not
is
a lot
true.
going on. So now it's your turn.
Oh,
And
thanks.
I
Great.
pass the torch to you.
Great.
Go for it.
Thanks.
Go for
I'm
it.
not ready for any. No. I don't need any milestones right now. My kids are out of school, so Mallory just finished kindergarten, and they are home for the summer. They're in a camp at a nearby school this summer, and the 4 of our kids, the littles of Abby's and mine, are going to be in a camp starting in a couple weeks, so that'll be a lot of fun.
We're trying to wrap that up into a pretty bow, too. Like, hey,
It's summer
camp.
Get excited.
Yes,
So,
guys.
yeah.
We're going
So,
to do summer camp.
they
We're
keep
going to
talking
swim
about it.
and climb up on rock walls. And
Yeah, I think
Or-
they'll have fun.
I hope so. Because they're going to have to do
And
it
we
no matter what.
prepaid, so they're going.
Your asses are going.
They already debited that lots of money out of my account, so they're going.
Do you have any fun plans for the summer at all? Any
No,
big trips?
not really.
Lake life?
Just lake life.
Lake life.
Yep.
It's a good life.
Yeah,
It's a good
We're
life.
heading down for Memorial Day, and then a couple other weekends in June. And yeah, as much as we can get to the lake, of course, with what we do, it's a little bit of a challenge. But yeah, we'll be
And
down
it's always
there some.
precious. Anytime you
is.
get down there, it's
Absolutely.
definitely precious. So,
Yep.
well, I'm excited about today.
I am too.
It's
We have
our-
a special guest.
We do.
Happens to be your brother.
My brother, Todd, is going to be calling in, or we're going to be calling Todd here in just a little bit. He's on a 4:00 phone call, Eastern Standard Time. But we're going to discuss and talk about Botox,
Yes.
toxins, fillers, anti-aging. It's something that I know for sure for me, I've incorporated into my beauty regimen since my early 20s. I kind of had to. I've got some major wrinkles happening in my forehead. You don't see them anymore. That's because I'm proactive.
Yes. Good for
I'm
you.
proactive and I'm on top of it because I know what's going to happen if I don't do that. So it's funny. So Todd, he's kind of always been in the sales world and has ended up working in this company, which the progression into pharmaceutical sales and in the medical arena was kind of a slower walk, but now that he's in there, he's just nailing it
That's
and doing a
awesome.
really good job.
I'm so excited to hear more.
I know. So let me tell you, he is the marketing director for a leading aesthetic device and pharmaceutical manufacturer. Todd has held a variety of commercial roles, including sales training, practice development, and now marketing. He works with neurotoxins and fillers specifically, and also leverages a high knowledge of skincare and energy-based devices to position to portfolio approach to market and ultimately, I just murdered that. Let me redo it. So his knowledge of skincare and energy-based devices to position a portfolio approach to the market and ultimately the patient. So Todd lives in North Carolina with my adorable sister-in-law, Ashley. And they've got 2 incredible, adorable little boys. And they're super busy. They're swamped. And poor Todd, he's that guy that's like, he's in LA this weekend. He's in Vegas next. He's in Dallas. Oh, look, he's in Miami. Like he
for
is.
Work or for?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Weekends.
He's
or
going.
during the week.
During the week. But he'll leave like on a Sunday night and be gone. So
what's he doing? Like, does he go to different practices and talk to them? Or is he like, so a typical pharmaceutical salesman, my mom did that. So you call on doctors, right? So like you go, is that what he does, but traveling? Or what is he doing when he goes?
He's really telling doctors practice, and I'm sure he'll correct me here, but from my understanding is he is doing training to the medical practices on how to use the products and how to market the products. So he will have a staff of injectors with him, and they do big conferences, and people come and learn. And then also, like I said, I think it's part of the marketing end of marketing new products to the general public and using the doctors and working with the doctors to get that product out there.
Wow.
So
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
So I'm excited to talk to him because it scares the living crap out of me to inject something into my face. Now, several people going unnamed, because I don't know if they want to be identified, that I know do it, and there's like a faux pas around it, right? Like, oh, you do Botox, but I do believe it's becoming way more accepted and more and Botox is just the word that I use. I know there's different brands of injectables, but there is a little bit of a stigma even for me still, and I don't know, seems like the younger generation like below us is totally embracing it and is okay with it, but for me it's still a very scary thing. So I will be interested to hear more about it. And
I think, for me personally, me, I'm like, I don't mind sharing it with the world. You guys can all know I've done Botox. I've done some fillers in my lips and in my cheeks, which let me tell you, I don't need any help in either one of those departments. My lips are big enough. Yeah, my cheeks are big enough. I'm good in that department, but I did take a little dip in that pool, and I'm glad that I did. I'm sure at some point I'll work my way back to fillers, but for me, it's like it's a product that's out there that's available to us, and our mothers really didn't get this option or know anything about it unless you were super elite, California, New York, whatever. People weren't talking about fillers and injectables until I would say, it really kind of started to take off in the early 2000s. And I'm a huge proponent for it, but I think it's really cute how you're like,
it scares the shit out of me. I don't want someone to be like, oh, Martha looked like this yesterday, and like that. I mean, it's that nightmare thing where it's like I'm permanently surprised, I mean, it's like I don't want to look like that. I mean, it's that horror story of like she's permanently like this,
or one eyebrow's higher than the other one, and it's permanently stories, like that.
I mean,
and
but
it's
then
true.
I've heard of it. I mean, it's
all based on too, I think, who you work with. So you've got to have kind of like your hairstylist. So it's a process, and you and I have talked about this too. When you go and start getting your hair done by someone new, you might have to tweak it a few times and go back like, hey, I don't like this, I don't like that. It's the same thing with your injector. Like, you've got to build a relationship, you've got to have trust. They'll ask you, what look are you looking for? Do you want to have the permanent, like, no movement whatsoever? Do you want to be able to have some movement? And it's a conversation, and it's unfortunately sometimes something you've got to work through. Right. And also, you've got to get good referrals, people. Don't just go pick someone off of Facebook or whatever. Like, you need to talk to somebody and have a good referral. Look at their face. How are they looking? Yeah, it's a good indicator. Your hairstylist, how is your hair looking? Like, you've got to be committed to building a relationship with those people.
No, it's so true. So true.
I know.
Yeah, so, I mean, at this point, my face is a little fluffier, so I don't feel like I need it. But I do know that as we continue to lose weight and feel better and all those things, like get older, less flesh in the cheeks and less flesh here. Yeah. All around the eyes and forehead too. I'm open to it. It just, I need to feel comfortable before I let somebody stick a needle in my face.
No, and I think you should. But honestly too, like, you've got great skin. You're not showing a lot of wrinkles or, like, you don't have those lines that some people at our age have. So I think you're in a good place.
Yeah.
I understand why maybe you haven't had anything done at this point.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Because my face is fat. When my face
fat can help.
Yeah, just kind of, fluffs everything out, but
fills in those fine lines.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I've also talked to, I won't use names either. That's probably a good idea.
They don't want to be identified.
No, but I think a lot of men are starting to tap dance.
Can you talk about how it helps with headaches? So that's an interesting, I mean, so it can literally have a medicinal purpose.
There's a medicinal practice for it. So Joe, my husband, has suffered from migraines ever since I've known him. And we have had one instance, he had an aura migraine. And when you have an aura migraine, it can kind of look like an actual stroke. So the right side of his face started drooping, the right side of his body. He had no strength. We thought he was having a full-on stroke. So we went to the ER. They were like, look, he's having a stroke. He failed all of the tests that they give you when you're having a stroke. Scary. And at that point, they were like, you've got 3 options here. One is a medicine that will maybe do something. It's a 50-50 chance of it doing something. There's a chance of death. And then there's a chance of not working. So working, not working, or death. Those are the 3 things that you get.
I mean.
And thank God his dad came and was like, let's get him to another hospital before we make any of these calls. So we go to the other hospital and they're like, he's having an aura migraine. So that was kind of like the peak of, oh my God, migraines are scary as hell. Other than that, he would be out for maybe 2 to 3 days a month with a migraine. And then about 5 years ago, he started going to a neurologist that started using Botox. And they do injections all along the shoulders, this area. What would this be? Tops of your shoulders, neck, all in your head. And it takes about 3 different visits.
Your clavicle?
That's your clavicle, but what's this?
Your shoulders.
Tops of your shoulders, all leading up into your neck.
Okay, whatever.
Anyway,
okay.
So you've got to stick with it, though, because it doesn't just happen overnight. You've got to go back about 3 times, and I think there's, 4 to 6 months in between each treatment. Now that he's done that, he doesn't have migraines anymore.
Isn't that crazy? So when you told me that, I was like, wow.
Yeah. He tried other injections, oral medications. I mean, anything and everything you can think of. That man did. And it really affected our lives, and his especially. Yeah. I mean, he would be down and out. And now after Botox, and, they're gone. Wow. They're gone. So I always talk to anyone that I know that has migraine issues to look into that. Yeah.
Oh,
excited.
Here we go. Woo, woo.
First one.
Yo.
Hey.
Hi, Todd.
What's up?
Hey, first time caller.
Yay. Woo! Thank you for being on our podcast. We're so excited to have you.
We are. This is so cool.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thanks, Todd. We really appreciate all of our fans, all 94 of them.
Yes, and we track you.
Yeah, we really do track you. We're like, we have another follower. Mm-hmm. This is so exciting.
Especially in the mail department. We're like, yay, there's a dude listening.
Totally. Yeah. We love it. So how are you
today? Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, how are you doing?
We said, how you doing, bub?
Pretty good. Busy day at work, and just settled down to start a happy hour and hang out. Yeah.
Good call. Good. What are you drinking on, Todd?
I am drinking from the great city of St. Louis, Missouri.
Ooh.
A Bud Light.
Oh, I was like, what's he going to be drinking? Clinky.
Yes, we're drinking Moët, Todd.
we've
Champagne wishes on a Bud Light diet.
Well, I mean, I could probably transition to the champagne of beers fairly quick, but that's not it.
Good call.
Very good.
We'll have those for male guests when they come.
Yes.
Champagne of beer.
How fun. So we've just been talking about my fears of injectables and everything that goes along with that. But we'd love to hear more about what you do and more about the products that you market. So
yeah, for sure. So do you have a fear of needles?
Or just like the permis, or like permanently being surprised?
Do you have
Todd?
a fear of like the appearance that would be
the perma
outcome?
surprise. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's certainly pretty common.
Yeah.
That's because it's so easy to tell when someone has been overtreated, right?
Okay.
The vast majority of the people that you see on a daily basis that have been treated, you would never know it, right? And that's the definition of, a good injector that's treating to, your current, highlights and your own natural beauty. They just accentuate that.
Right.
Going in and saying, I want something I was never prepared to have ever is that's
like
what
the
you're
cheekbones.
of.
I mean, that's what I see is like the overdone cheekbones, or of course the lips. The duck lips. Mark's like, my husband's name's Mark.
The
He's
golf
like,
ball,
if you
golf
ever
ball
do
cheeks
that,
and duck lips, those are the things that we hear about on a pretty regular basis. But to back up a little bit though, I mean, everyone, put their body, aging is a condition that we all suffer with, and it's chronic. It's nonstop. I mean, once we're born, we are starting to go down this path of aging.
Yeah.
And something that's very common to see, like in a 2 or 3 year old, is a healthy amount of collagen in a face. And that's where you get, those big chubby cheeks. That's not necessarily fat as much as it is just this huge amount of collagen. There's, I want to say, like 66 different collagen types in the body, and in the face, there's close to 20.
Oh, wow.
And you could think of collagen much like pasta. There's some collagen that's very thin and wispy, like an angel hair, and then there's like structural collagen, like a lasagna or a fettuccine or a thick rigatoni or something like that. These big structural collagens. Well, a toddler has all of them, an abundance of them, and that's where you get those big chubby cheeks. And you can cross over many different cultures, and you always get this idea from, and it's usually from a woman that would grab those cheeks and say, "Oh, I could just eat you up." That's a primal reaction.
I want to bite the baby toe.
That's a primal reaction to wanting that youth that collagen provides.
Oh my God. I think we've talked about this, haven't we? We've talked about this before. Like, why is it when I see a baby, I'm just like, I could just eat you.
Baby dominant.
And then I'm like, I know there's some scientific part to it. Not sure what it is. So I'm glad we covered that, Todd.
Yes, I'm like, why do I want to feel the need to like kiss you all over and just, yeah.
It's that collagen.
Weird.
Wow.
Yeah. So as we age, and really it picks up in our mid to late 20s, and then in our 30s just takes off, we start losing that collagen production. And it's not that the collagen can't grow. It certainly could grow. It's just what was once there is no longer. So collagen needs something to grow on. So think of like ivy. Ivy is always climbing up a lattice. Ivy is always climbing up a chimney or a brick wall or something like that. You're never going to drive through a field of ivy in Nebraska or Kansas because it has nothing to grow on. Collagen is very, very much the same way. So again, part of those cheeks, those big cheeks that we have as kids and as toddlers, and we start to lose as we age, there are these fat pads. And those fat pads provide that framework, that lattice for collagen to grow on. And so as we age, though, gravity impacts those fat pads and they start to fall, and they fall down to our cheeks and down to our lower face. And so we get all this extra volume. It's a double-edged sword. We lose the volume that we need in the cheeks, and we start getting them where we don't want them in the jaw area. So what all these injectables, when it comes to fillers, what all these injectables try to do is to replicate what those fat pads do. Try to either fill that area where there once was a fat pad or where there once was collagen, or they, some of them actually can stimulate collagen and elastin to grow in that area.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are the ones that will stimulate collagen and stuff to grow, is that not in every filler product, just only a few?
Yeah, just a few of them. So any products that you would associate with like an HA, that's when they call them HA fillers. And there's a bunch of them out there. I want to say 90% of fillers out there are HA fillers. hyaluronic acid fillers.
There you go.
Those truly just like fill the area, and they do a great job of it. That's the reason that 90-some% of the market is HA fillers. They do a really good job of filling an area and replacing volume where there once was, or filling a wrinkle or a line where there once was not one. They do a great job of doing that.
So there's another fear.
5.
Let me just ask you something really quick. So when you're talking about filling that area, this is another fear of mine, that if you don't keep up with it, then you've stretched out that skin. So what do you tell people that say, okay, I want to do this, but like, does that stretch that skin to where you have to keep filling it, or does it do like a counterintuitive? Yeah.
No, the tire's already deflated there. The aging process has already occurred.
Okay.
You're not going to get, now that's a great question, and I'm sure there's some science to go both ways there. But in general, you're not. Well, this is a great way to put it. So most of these products come in a 1 cc syringe. 1 milliliter or 1 cc of product.
Okay.
And most people, at their best, they're getting a syringe on one side of their face and a syringe on their other side. That's at best. On average. So you're now talking about 2 cc's of product split over a face. That is the equivalent, I want to say, of like a quarter or an eighth of a teaspoon. I think a teaspoon is 5 milliliters.
So we're not talking. I'm kind of thinking of like the Kardashian, or like, I don't mean to, but just that overly filled face that you're like that.
They definitely aren't the barometer. So
right.
They are not getting one syringe on each side of their face.
Right.
But it's funny. I had lunch not long ago with an injector, a just gorgeous woman who had used up to 30 syringes in her face over the course of the past year.
Oh my gosh.
And you would never have known it. Would never have known it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think we had talked about that before we got on the line with you too. It's building a relationship and finding a good injector, much like your hairstylist. It's a relationship. You've got to build trust. You've got to go back. You got to tweak. And then once they get to know your body, get to know, what you want, you can get it to that place. But knowing an injector that will A, tell you no.
Right.
Or B, say, let's just start out smaller. You can always come back.
Right.
You can always come back. So those people that are just yes people to all of your crazy ideas, that's not who we want to go see.
No. And how long, that leads me to a question. How long does an injection, like a treatment, or what do you call an injection? Is it a treatment?
A treatment.
I would call them a treatment.
Okay, a treatment. How long does that last?
It really depends on, you as a person. If you're a marathon runner, they're not going to last all that long because you have a super high metabolism.
Oh,
if you eat nachos and drink Bud Light on a Saturday afternoon like me, then, they might stick around a little bit longer. And it also depends on, how much you're getting. But usually, and there's also this idea of like, you just get used to it, right? One of the biggest complaints injectors get really revolves around the idea of body dysmorphia more than it does a lack of efficacy in a product, where you just start looking in the mirror and this new you becomes the new you. And so it's now your new baseline and you're like, okay, I got to start looking at other areas to fix, or now that's starting to diminish a little bit. And really, I can't tell you how many times someone will come in and say, this isn't working anymore, or it stopped working, or it's gone. And I show them their before picture, or they see their before picture. And
what
then
a powerful
they
tool to show them where they were.
They look in the mirror and they're like, oh my gosh, yes, it's still working.
Yeah. That's such a powerful tool to say, hey, this is what you look like when we started.
And talk about body dysmorphia and like what we deal with as a society as far as getting on Snapchat and all the filters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such to see yourself on a screen that's not really you and be like, ooh, I like this version of myself. And then to go to a doctor and be like, this is what I want. This is what I want to look like. It's not real to begin with. So it's a slippery slope. But again, I say that's why you need to have a great place to start too, other than like, hairdressers. And I think that's a great recognition there, when it comes to aesthetic treatments. Everyone looks at, toxins, neurotoxin treatments and filler treatments as still, even in the day and age that we live in, like a little taboo, depending on what part of the country you're in. And you would never talk about it, in front of mixed company.
Right.
Yeah, Martha.
But that's not the case with.
Like
That's
she had
not
a
the case
Botox
with
party,
getting your-
Todd. I'm like, I'll buy some clothes. That's all I'm buying. It's like Botox and shopping. I'm like, I'll buy some clothes. I'm so scared.
But people never aren't that way with like. People
so
aren't that way
scared.
with hair color.
Right,
No.
true.
People talk about hair color all the time.
I know, and that's
People
why I
wear
want to
jewelry,
make
no
this
problem.
mainstream,
Yep.
You know,
like
Yep.
acceptable.
The earliest artifacts of jewelry found are like from 3000, 4000 BC. So even in that era, there was this idea of, I want to look more aesthetically pleasing. I want to be more confident with who I am. You know, a great thing to do is, you know, when people go to a hairstylist, they usually take pictures of other people.
Yep.
You know, I want my hair to look like someone else's hair.
Yep.
If a great patient takes a picture of themselves, I always tell injectors, ask a patient, especially if it's their first time, to pull up the first picture they ever posted on social media of themselves.
Interesting. I like
know which
that.
one I put
oh,
up.
gosh, that's so scary. I look real young.
Yeah. Well,
But that
hello.
gives them such a better
'Cause
baseline
I
to
was.
know where to treat, how much to treat.
God, what a great idea.
That
I
is
love
such
that.
a good idea.
Ooh,
Because really bringing in a picture of someone else doesn't help us, right?
No. And a
Their
filter of
cheekbones
yourself.
are different, and
I can totally go back to my very first, Facebook days. That's where I started out on social media. I wasn't into MySpace, but I got on the Facebook bandwagon in the early 2000s. And my first profile picture, I can see it. I can literally see it in my head right now. I'm like, yeah, I'd take those cheeks all day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting
And that weight.
there.
And that weight.
Okay. Well,
That's
we're
a
working
different-
on that
That's
too.
a different podcast. Yeah.
We got a booty
So
boot
have
camp.
you, Martha, have you had a toxin treatment before?
I have not. Why do you call it when you say toxin treatment, that scares me, Todd. Why do you call it a toxin treatment? I'm like, why do you gotta say the word toxic treatment? I'm like,
do you want me?
yeah, I
do you
need
want me
to know
call it
the
like a-
science behind it because
There
you
you go.
just freaked me out by the word toxin. I mean, and the rest of the world that's not into
Toxins are bad from what everything we
that.
consume.
So when you say you keep calling something toxin treatment, and then there was some other word that was bad in my when I hear that
Acid.
acid or I don't know. I've had a lot of facials in my day, Todd. I've had microdermabrasion. I'm not a stranger to facial treatments, but
Yeah.
nothing injected. So
Yeah.
why do you call it toxin treatment?
Great question. It is botulinum toxin is what is. I mean, you mentioned Botox, all of the other products in that category, whether it be Dysport or Xeomin or Jeuveau and soon to be others. They're all a form of botulism toxin.
Okay.
And so, I mean, and every so once in a while, you still hear about some sort of foodborne illness
Okay.
that comes from botulism toxin.
Okay.
These, it's industry terminology, toxin treatments. I've certainly heard patients refer to it as, but you bring up a good point. It's definitely not probably
positive.
ideal nomenclature for people who
It's
are
not like a
naive to getting these.
hydrofacial. Okay.
Yeah. Hydrofacial is a pretty good feeling, just to say the words, right?
Right.
Yes.
But I mean, toxin treatment's like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm here for it.
I know. I just have to
like
change my mind frame because when you say that, it's like, okay, I know I encounter toxins every day. I know, but to know that. So anyway, I'll let you finish.
So what these do, why they're called toxins, botulism toxin, what it does is when it's ingested, and it paralyzes the body, and to the point of, if you're being poisoned by botulism toxin, you truly are. You're to the point where you can't breathe. Your nervous system shuts down. Everything shuts down. These obviously are super, super low doses of them. But they have a tremendous therapeutic use. Like almost all things, they were born out of a therapeutic need. So patients who've been, stroke victims or stroke survivors, I should say, and they might have their arm curled up, their hand curled up by their armpit, their shoulder. They'll get toxin treatments just to release the muscle so that they can get their fingernails clipped.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And those are hundreds and hundreds of units. Migraines, I mean, I'm sure everyone's,
We just talked
migraines.
Talked about Joe's.
Yeah, that's a
migraines.
very
Yep.
common therapeutic indication for some of these types of treatments. So there's and these are, again, hundreds and hundreds of units. For aesthetic treatments, I mean, the very first treatment it's like 20 units, and it takes care of what we call the glabella line. It's that line right in between the eyebrows.
This one.
I have
That's
a couple
20
friends that do
units.
that. Because they're gorgeous women, and they're like, I got a line
really
going on.
Yeah.
It shuts down the ability of the muscle to contract. So you can't make that face, and you can't create that line whenever you make that face. You can still certainly make that face, but the ability to make that line, same thing with forehead lines and crow's feet. There's indications all over the place. And these are all roughly 20, 24 units here or there to treat all of these different lines.
Yeah, Martha never met me, before I started with injections and toxins specifically. So she never saw that line. I know you know what I'm talking about, that glabellum line in my forehead, because it was dramatic.
Really?
Very, very dramatic. It was like manly, because that muscle in my forehead is so strong that it was deep, it was severe, and you've never known me to have that line, and that's because I keep up with it.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't want to ever have that line again. But you would have known it.
Wow. That's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
But that treatment lasted no matter what happens. That treatment, that treatment's going to last you 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
Yep.
And the risk level of something happening to your appearance is so low.
Okay.
And even if it does, even that's temporary. Every so once in a while, I'll see people that might have had, and no one else would notice, but they might have what looks like a lazy eyelid when they get too much toxin in a certain area. But again, going to the right injector, talking to the people around you that get injected, going to the right injector, A, they are great at avoiding that, and B, even if it does occur, they are great at, fixing it to where, it diminishes that look. But these are things that happen at such few amounts, that low occurrence of it happening.
Can you
that's a great way to start.
Much, can you take some out? How does that work?
What's that?
Like if they did too much, can you you have to wait for it to sort of leave the body, or can you remove some if it was overdone?
There's definitely sometimes it's just about creating symmetry on the other side to diminish that. Yep.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. There's corrections that can be made. I've never, knock on wood, I've never had to go back for a correction.
Nope, that's awesome.
Never. Yeah.
So taking an old picture of yourself, say you want to do more like anti-aging, self-care, don't say I want to have cheekbones. Don't say I want to have lips.
Right.
Just say I want to,
have a more youthful
appearance. I want to treat myself, self-care and do more of an anti-aging, slow down, the appearance of the aging process to some degree. And more than likely, you're going to get a nice first-time conservative treatment that will certainly enhance, if that's what you believe that you need for whatever that might be. Confidence, looks, whatever.
Right.
It's a no judgment zone.
Something I remember reading, and then I think you and I have had a conversation about it too, Todd, is that our generation, and I'll just put us all together here, will be one of the first generations since plastic surgery started where the need for the facelift is going to start going away and away, because we can use injections. We can start early and get to a place of maintenance where we don't have to go in for that full-on facelift like, our mothers, our grandmothers before us would have had to have done, because that was like your only option to fix the droopy and whatever. So we can all start taking care of our skin and our face to the point where we may never have to go under the knife like generations before us did.
It definitely will prolong that part. The interventions that, that are being created right now and anti-aging, both in, whether it be injection or skincare or energy-based devices like lasers or whatever, the technology is just growing leaps and bounds. But then also when you look at the pharmacological interventions, the actual pills people are starting to take to slow down the aging process.
What are those?
It's
Tell me all about those, Ted.
Yeah,
where do I buy them?
Yeah. Anti-aging pills?
They're limitless, y'all. They're limitless.
Collagen. Oh, tell us a list. We'd love to.
So
anyway,
besides our vitamins that we take, and like the list is growing there of things that we can take, collagen. What's the one I'm trying to think of for skin here? Well, not just
biotin.
Collagen, biotin. Like there are those things, but
folic acid.
Folic acid.
Common. Yeah.
Yep.
What else do you recommend?
I would have you listen to a Joe Rogan podcast.
You know I do that.
Yeah.
I listened to one not long ago. I'll refrain from commenting on. I mean, but there's significant medicines that people would take for like diabetes that are now being studied in anti-aging. So, I mean, I'm not breaking it. Metformin, which is a
I was just going to say metformin because I have PCOS, which is insulin
like
resistance.
when people are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, you always get the first treatment is diet and exercise, right?
Right.
And, that fails 9 hours later. So there's, you got to get
the cheeseburger
some
and the
sort
fries.
of pharmaceutical treatment. Metformin is usually that first line treatment where there's a pharmaceutical intervention, and the study's being done right now. I forget the name of the scientist, the professor that I heard on Joe Rogan talking about some of these studies, but just absolutely wild what's going on there.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool.
It is. And we've talked about, and I think it kind of circles back around to your fear of toxins, because I brought up on one of our podcasts about the amount of toxins that we take in that equal a credit card a week. And that was a Joe Rogan podcast as well, where we were talking about all these, free radicals and something plastics. Anyway.
Paraben?
No, not paraben. It was just microplastics that we ingest. Toxins that equal about a credit card a week. Right. So I see where your fear of that comes around. But well, I've got the injector for you.
Yeah, a great comparison there. And I remember hearing that as well. To refrain a little bit with the conversation we were having about the toxin treatment. I was once told that you could put all of the powder that is involved, a toxin treatment involves powder, all the powder that's involved in every aesthetic treatment that's ever been done, and it would still barely fill up a sugar packet.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's how small these doses
are. You put it in perspective.
We needed the sugar packet, Todd. Martha did.
Yeah, I needed it. Like that just really solidified this for me.
Yeah.
So
cool. I've been in this industry for, I want to say 5 years now, 6 years, and many roles within it. Absolutely have loved it. And of course it's put me in a position to try it. So
I was just going to ask you, have you done toxic treatment?
Yeah, I've done all these things. Are you kidding me? I've done all these things. And I think that might be, obviously we're not face to face. Unfortunately, sooner rather than later, we will be. But, Abby could pull up a picture of me from just a day ago on vacation.
Yep.
And I'm a
guy.
I drive a giant diesel truck. I smoke meat. I drink cheap beer. I smoke cigars. I drink great bourbon and tequila and rum.
Do you eat cheeseburgers?
And you would never know it if you walked by me that I've had any of these treatments, other than to say, "Wow,
he looks refreshed."
He looks awake. I mean, that would really be about it.
That, and then you also have that fun. Is it glabellum? Am I saying it right?
The glabella.
Glabella. With a B?
Yeah, with a G, glabella. Some people call them the ones because when you make that that scowl face, you'll either have one line, 2 lines, or 3 lines. So you'll have a 1, an 11, or 111. So you're probably all trying to make that face right now in the room.
Yep, you'll see it in the video.
So you either have 1 line, 2 lines. Yeah,
yours are gone. Mine are gone. Yours are gone. And I think you and I both.
Do I have any? Like a lot.
No, you've got the one. So he was saying you either have 1, 2, or 3. You've got an 11.
Or 111.
Nope, you've got an 11.
I
used to call it a butt. I mean, I just had a full on.
Let me see. No, she doesn't have any.
In most people, you can only see see those in most people when they actually make a face. Poor Abby, by 18 years old, she had one just at rest. She didn't even have to make a face.
That's true.
She just had the line right down the middle between her eyebrows.
Scowled a lot. That's what I like to call that.
It was just permanent. By 18. And
you have a beautiful forehead now.
Yep, it's gone. It's gone. Oh, look. So this is after having Esty. And obviously, because I was pregnant, didn't have any of that going on. But this was, 6 years ago, and I started in my early 20s. So even at 18, it was worse than that you're seeing in that picture. And that was just me resting. I wasn't scowling. I wasn't doing anything at all. Yeah. So that for
You're
sure.
still beautiful, but yes.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
And I would say, yeah, I agree with that comment. But there was a time where it was it was like an 80-year-old woman's, line in between my eyebrows.
See, I did not know her, Todd, before.
Yep.
Like she says.
Yep.
Wow.
Anyway.
When we, I've obviously been in a position to talk to a lot of consumers about these treatments, whether it be that they're completely naive, like yourself, Martha, or maybe a little bit more tenured in the process, like Abby.
Mm-hmm.
And very rarely is the word beauty brought up.
Right.
There's something much more about it than I want to be more beautiful than what I am right now. I think that's very how backward society wants to kind of pigeonhole, these types of treatments and, the people that get them. But for the vast majority of people, women specifically, there's this point where, they're looking in a mirror and it just hits them like, I've reached a point where I don't feel like I used to. Right. And because they're looking in the mirror at the same time, there's that correlation. So there is correlation, not so much to beauty, but definitely appearance and how one once felt, whether we call that confidence or whatever. I
can't wait to see a picture of you later, Todd. I'm going to look you up on Facebook,
oh my God,
buddy.
I'm going to get it. Yeah. Well rested.
Well rested. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
before babies. Babies. Like when you look in the mirror and you're like, and it kind of hits you like a ton of bricks. And then you look at pictures before you had babies and you weren't up all night and stress and everything. And that's well rested. I think that's a great point, Todd. It's not even about being beautiful or pretty or anything like that. It's just not looking so fucking tired.
Yeah, I don't look tired at 9 o'clock in the morning after a shower and putting on a suit and a fresh shave.
Yeah.
I don't look tired. Now, I might feel like shit, but I don't look it.
Your face doesn't. Right.
I love it. That's so true. It's awesome. So true.
I love it.
Well, Todd, if you had, so let's say for Martha, who's never done any treatments, if she, it's a personal choice. Like if you want to try a treatment, do you have something where you say, hey, start here or try this or try that for the first timer?
Yeah, I guess it would be, you just got to be super, of course, always going to the right injector is just pivotal. But, in theory, if you're really just trying to, this idea of anti-aging and maybe starting to, have the appearance that you once had, usually you start in the upper face, right? Mm-hmm. So with toxins in the upper face and then, this idea of a filler somewhere in the mid face.
Okay.
In the cheek area, right? Mm-hmm. A great sign of aging is as you'll get older, the area of your face just underneath your eye gets super flat, right? And that's because you've lost a lot of that collagen and that fat that was once there. So usually, has anyone heard of the triangle of youth? You ever heard of this term? Mm-mm. So the triangle of youth it's an inverted triangle where the base of it goes from essentially cheek to cheek, and the tip of the triangle is at your chin. And that's very common in younger people.
We just drew a diagram on our face.
Yep. As we get older, if you look at a picture of yourself compared to, when you were 22 compared to, 42 or 43 or mid 30s, whatever, that triangle starts to invert to where the base of it is, at your jaw, and the point of it is back up at your nose or up between your eyes. You want to invert that back. So usually you want treatments back in that cheek area. You always want to counter gravity as much as you can. So you start high. If you have flat cheeks and I don't mean not golf ball cheeks, but at one point you had bigger cheeks than what you do right now, or more volume in your mid face, whatever you want to call it. If you don't treat that and you start treating wrinkles and lines and stuff in your lower face, you'll really just make that triangle more pronounced where you don't want it to be. You're going to put volume around your mouth area when you really want it back up by your eyes.
Interesting.
Now,
So then you look
that's
heavy down.
anti-aging. I mean, if you're wanting to do more like enhancement, like I've always wanted a stronger jawline, or I've always wanted a more voluminous lips, whatever that might be. Well, that's completely different. That's where you're looking to enhance or augment something that really never was there. But if you're wanting to just like, I want to slow down the appearance of the aging process, I want to look like I did more 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Usually the higher up you start on your face, the better.
Awesome. What a great tip.
It is. Great tip. What would you have as far as men, if they're going to start doing some procedures, specifically on under eyes? What do you
Crow's
suggest?
feet? Is that what you call it?
Crow's feet, like the dark circles, we all have them, but the dark circles, just like what you were talking about, the volume kind of starting to go away from that area underneath your eyes and your cheeks. What would you suggest?
Yeah, so it's going to be pretty similar there. Those are, crow's feet, that is a very traditional, toxin treatment. Crow's feet occur from squinting, right? So anything that is very obvious, muscle movement is creating the line. That's usually a toxin treatment.
Okay.
Not to say that, some sort of filler couldn't be used, but by and large toxin. What you're describing there, Abby, is what's called the tear trough. And it's, the part of the skin and the part of the face directly under the eye. When we start thinking about like the orbital socket, it's like I mentioned before, as we age, that area gets super flat. So what ends up happening is all that skin starts pulling down and putting, unneeded pressure on the very thin skin around the eye.
Right.
Interesting.
So it's very common for people to get, what's called tear trough injections there. I will say I don't think there's any product on the market that's quote unquote approved for that treatment, but it's still done all the time. But a great treatment to have done before that is if what's causing it is a lack of all of that, fat pad and collagen, it's still to replace it. So, if you just treat the dark circle or try to fill in that little bit of area just under the eye, but then you still have all of that flatness, around your nose, underneath your eye, it's just not going to look like you. So I would still say, start with replacing that volume in the mid-face area.
Bye.
Bye, Aunt Kiki.
Love you.
Yep, Katie's been listening
Yeah,
in.
she's been listening. Just heading out to work.
All right.
Todd, thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Yeah,
How
for
cool
sure.
is that? I
It's
mean,
so
from North
cool.
Carolina. My sister lives in Charlotte, so
Yeah.
we'll have to venture out that way.
We'll
I
have
know
some
you're.
we need to have some family reunions then.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
I don't know
we
what the
do.
plural is. That like plural, like attorneys general, like families reunion,
Yes,
like,
families
multiple
reunion. I love
one
it.
big reunion for multiple families.
Oh my
doing
God,
it.
we totally need to
We're
get that on
doing
the
it.
books for sure.
Yep.
And I think you could have a recurring phone call on this podcast for sure, because I've learned a lot
Absolutely.
today.
Oh my gosh, so fun.
Yep. And we'll have to talk to Martha post her first procedure.
Toxin treatment.
Yeah, for sure.
Got to get over that
treatment.
whole name of the treatment.
Well,
but-
thanks for having me. I'll let you
Thank you.
close out your little podcast.
Thank
with
you
the,
so much.
And I'll knock back the rest of this beer. But thanks for having me, and we'll catch up soon.
Sounds
good, Todd.
Talk to you
Thanks.
later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Clinky, clinky. Love you.
First call in. Love you too.
Love you.
It's podcast number 7.
What?
Seven.
Some.
We were just talking about North Carolina, so I reverted
Sem.
back.
I'm like, what is a sem?
No, Sam.
Sem. Assume. I'm like,
was
a
a 7.
7.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
That was
got
our
it.
7th podcast. And it was about beauty and
Beauty.
toxins, beautiful toxins.
Beautiful
Not deadly toxins.
No. I get
Well,
it.
deadly toxins on a very minuscule amount.
Sugar packet.
Sugar packets.
Takeaway was the
Can you
sugar
imagine
packet.
everything
good
that
with
we've
that.
all done equaling up to maybe a sugar packet?
Not
I'm
so
here
bad.
for it.
I'm here for it.
I can't wait.
Maybe in a little bit.
Yes. Oh,
Bye.
oh, you know what? Martha. Thank God
Oh,
our producer
yes.
Steve reminded us of a
Okay,
little
guys.
bit of
So we have
Yeah.
these T-shirts that Abby made.
that our Lux Salon is, Carrie, our trainer, is the owner of Lux Salon. So we have her on the front. And on the back is our Booty Boot Camp.
Yes. So we have our podcast logo on here, Champagne Wishes. And we are going to be raffling off one of our tank tops.
Yep.
And a free session to drop
a
in
pop-in class.
Yes, a pop-in class. So if you guys would like, comment, subscribe, and share
Yes.
to our social media posts regarding the podcast, you will be entered in for a tank top, and you'll also be entered in for a pop-in class.
Yep.
So
a free pop-in class. Come work out with us. Come have the
full experience.
Yeah, it's so fun.
It's so much fun.
No judgment zone. We're all getting in
No
shape.
mirrors. Nobody can see.
Yep.
I'm telling you, that for me is like
Huge. Yep.
I don't want to see a mirror of myself
No.
while I'm working out
No.
and then start like getting in my head about what I need to, but there's none of that.
No.
It's just a bunch of us. We're usually laughing and having a really good
Yeah.
time. And we haven't cried yet at
We
the
will.
workout.
We will.
I'm sure it's
Don't
coming.
worry. We
I'm
will.
sure it's coming. Yesterday I almost vomited.
Oh, cool. I missed that class.
Yep. Sprints, going back to sprints.
Thanks, Gary.
I feel like trainers want someone to puke.
Oh, totally. It feels
And
like
then-
they've done their job.
Yeah, like look what I did.
Yep. And she's eased us in because she knew if too early on we'd be like, nope, we're
Yeah.
out.
Oh,
So
yeah, no,
she got our
She
commitment, and then now she's going
Turn
a
it
little
up a
hardcore.
notch. Level up.
She'll be nice to you if you're a pop-in. But
Yes,
that's it.
yes. If you're a
Yeah.
pop-in, we won't let her do that to you.
Thank you guys.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks.
Love
All right,
you.
Clinky, clinky.
Clinky, clinky.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.